What's up, guys? Excited to share this content with you today. I think it can really help a lot of people. I've seen many people come to a point in their older age where they don't have proper financial planning done, and I think it's important to start from an early age. And I've put together a little presentation for you to show you how it's something called the 30,000 day plan, and it works brilliantly. So I'm going to show you how this works, right, guys? So you can just get an idea of how to plan for your life, right? So, they say we have roughly around about 30,000 days on planet Earth, 30,000 days on planet Earth, right? So that works out to about 82 years that we live, right? So the average person living around 82 years. So if you look at the circle, guys, this represents the amount of days that you have on planet Earth, 30,000 days, right? So you've got 0, you've got the age of 20, you've got the age of 40, you've got the age of 60, and then of course, you get to the age of 80, and then you're getting closer to death, right? So you start off from 0 and you go all the way around this little cycle, right? So let's look at the cycles of how things work. So you've got, in your first 20 years of 20 years of Earth, right? So that's about 7,500 days. In your first 20 years, you're doing mostly playing and studying, not a lot of responsibility. Your mom and dad probably take care of you. You don't have a lot of need for income. You're not. So this is basically telling you how long you have to generate income. Your first 7,500 years, 7,500 days rather, your first 20 years, you don't generate an income, right? Then you get to your second quadrant, your second 7,500. You got your first job, maybe you've got your first car, your flat or a home. You just purchased a flat or a home. You start to get more responsible. You get married, and you even have your first child, right? So now you've got more responsibilities. That's between the ages of 20 and 40. That's your second 7,500 days. Now, in total, you've gone through 15,000 days, right? So you start to work at the age of 20 years old. That's your second set of 7,500 days, right? Then you get to between the ages of 40 and 60. Maybe you've got your second job, right? You've got your second job. You've got your second home or a holiday home. You're starting to think about education now because you've got kids. You want them to study. You want them to be successful in life. And you're also considering what's going to happen to you at retirement age. So these are major concerns. Remember, you want to start planning for these things at an early age, right? And then between the ages of 60 and 80, you retire. So you might as, you've got to have a good retirement plan if you want to live and see good age between 60 and 80. So that's your second 15,000, right? So you've got your first 15,000, your second 15,000 days. Can we all agree, right? In your first 7,500 days on planet Earth, your first 20 years, you're doing mostly playing and studying. You're not generating an income. First 7,500 days of life, no income generated, right? Then you go to your last set of 7,500 days, right? So your last 7,500 days of life, no income generated there again. So what are we left with? We're left with 15,000 days on Earth to make an income. Only the bottom half between the ages of 20 and 60, right? That you have to make an income to make sure that your family have provisions. So what are the 5 key questions that most clients are asking on a daily basis? Everybody wants to know about these things, right? 5 majors that people want to know about. This is how we can protect each of these concerns, right? So what happens in the event of no income? Between the ages of 20 and 40, you're building your wealth, you're building your job, you're getting your first home, your car. What happens if you become sick or injured, right? What happens if you become sick or injured? There's no income coming in. How are you going to manage your family? You bought the house, you bought the car. How are you going to pay for your kids? There's no income coming in. So that's a concern number 1. Number 2, what if I die before the age of 60? What happens to my family, right? What happens to my family? How are they going to manage? How are they going to sustain themselves? How are they going to maintain their standard of living? Then we go to number 3. What happens to my child's education? How is my child going to be funded for education? Concern number 3. Concern number 4. What if I can't afford to retire? Maybe you haven't saved. Maybe you've made some bad decisions. What if you can't afford to retire at 60? Are you going to work extra years? And the number 5 thing is you've accumulated all these assets in your life. What happens upon your death, right? So let's look at these solutions. We've identified the problem and the concern that people have. What are the solutions? So the solutions to that, number 1, no income. What if I become sick or injured and I have no income? You can get an income protection plan, guys. It can protect your income in the event of you becoming sick or injured. So your family is going to have finances, right? Income protection plan. These are 5 concerning areas for people to look at. Number 2, what if I die before the age of 60? Life cover, guys. Life cover protects your family. It gives them financial stability and gives them financial security in the event of your death, right? So have a proper life cover plan in place. Education. What if my child is not able to study? Start saving towards education. They say it's better to save now and earn interest than to borrow later and pay interest. That makes perfect sense. Maybe your child wants to study. Make sure you've got an education plan in place for your kids. What if I can't afford to retire? Can't retire at 60? The shortest way of guaranteeing you're going to retire at 60 is having a retirement annuity in place, guys. Absolutely important. Sadly, a lot of people don't save towards retirement. And we see this all the time. You end up depending on government grants, or you end up going to families. It's not a nice place to be at that age. Start saving towards your retirement. Start funding your retirement. And then number 5, what happens to my assets? Do I want my family to be fighting over my assets? Does it go to the state if I don't have a last will and testament, right? So you can have a last will and testament in place and make sure that your hard-earned, your inheritance gets passed over to the people that you know and you love and the people that you built it for in the first place, right? So those are 5 major concerns that I think needs to be identified for every single client going forward. And if you want more information on this, guys, you can feel free to contact me. My details are at the bottom. Brenton Daniel, Chandramani. You can feel free to drop me a message on WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, or just get back to the person that shared this video with you, and we can discuss a plan for you as well. Cheers, and thank you for watching.